In 2023, the Super Mario Bros. Movie had a worldwide box office of $1.3 billion, beating the likes of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Spider-Man, and Quantumania that year. In 2024, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 beat Venom, Kraven the Hunter, and Madam Web. In 2025, the Minecraft movie also beat every single superhero film in terms of box office. If you haven't guessed it yet, streaming services and theaters have found their new meta. In the early 2000s, it was rom-coms. The 2010s, superhero projects took over. And now we have video game adaptations making a name for themselves. Yes, we had video game adaptations before 2020, but we also had superhero films before the 2010s. The difference between those time periods is just the sheer number of projects being produced in the same similar genre. Superhero projects will still be popular, but movies and shows have found a new perfect meta for those who are no longer interested in superheroes. So much so that the industry is committing over 13 video game adaptations to theaters and streaming services in 2026, and that number is probably going to continue to grow the following year. What's even crazier than those numbers that I mentioned earlier is the fact that Fortnite isn't one of those games that has announced an adaptation yet. I mean, come on, we all know that a Fortnite movie will make stupid money. I'm talking about record-shattering numbers if they do it right. There are a lot of reasons why video game adaptations appeal to studios, possibly more than superhero projects. For one, they've shown us that you can put out what many would say is a quote-unquote bad project and still rake in the money. At worst, if the fan base is big and young enough, it'll get the Minions movie treatment and be memed so hard that people watch it. No shades to the Minion movies, they're pretty good for their audience, which is why it didn't work for Morbius, because it wasn't really meant for a younger audience, like how Minecraft, Minions, and Five Nights at Freddy's were. Secondly, a lot of fans don't mind if a project goes from the theaters directly to streaming within a month. I didn't see a lot of people complain about this when Five Nights at Freddy's 2 did this in December of 2025. Finally, there's just a large variety of stories you can tell through different genres and mediums, without worrying about the backlash as much. Yes, shows like Wonder Man, WandaVision, and Agatha All Along proves you don't need to show action 24/7 to tell a comic book inspired story, but those out-of-the-box experiments often alienate a core fan base that expects traditional comic book tropes. You may end up getting something like how poorly The Joker 2 and She-Hulk were received. Don't get me wrong, superheroes may be pop culture, but not everything pop culture mixes well with them. On the flip side of things, there are a lot of video games that don't even have action and fighting in them. You can adapt everything from high-octane shooters to cozy exploration games without forcing a specific style onto an IP that might upset a fan base. Honestly, it's not that hard to please us gamers with adaptations. Even if it's bad, we'll just meme it to death. As long as the studios don't do something silly that portrays the fan base, like showing Master Chief's face. Yeah, they actually did that. But for now, let's talk about video game adaptations I'm most excited for in 2026. Right off the bat, this Sekiro anime is just flames. You can tell that the studio that partnered with Crunchyroll didn't waste any effort in the quality of this project. Also, isn't it crazy that both Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter are coming out with a movie this year too? I can see these two movies pleasing their hardcore and casual fan base. I will say I'm liking the vibes of Street Fighter a bit more, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mortal Kombat blows my socks off too. Angry Birds 3 is a bit lower on my list, seeing how the first movie was poorly received, but they were able to make a massive comeback with their sequel. I just hope that they continue to learn what works in film and story. I also would be silly for not mentioning the Super Mario Galaxy movie either. I can easily tell that Rosalina's about to kick some serious butt and make power scalers realize how strong she really is. I also hope that Chris Pratt leans more into an Italian accent this time, or at least address the memes that came out when he was first announced as Mario. Let me know down below which video game adaptation you're most excited for this year. I'm still not in love with the idea of studios putting out what some might say is quote unquote a bad movie, like Five Nights at Freddy's 2, but still be more profitable than a massive blockbuster like Thunderbolts, just because it was cheaper to make and use their large fan base. However, the real magic happens when studios actually put in the effort to create something high quality. When you combine great writing with a gaming IP, you can get cultural movements like the Sonic films and the universal acclaim of Arcane. People are still talking about these two franchises, movies, well after they were released. We are only seeing the beginning of the video game era. With the way things are trending, the gaming adaptation wave shows no signs of slowing down.